Well, hello and welcome to another day on Cornwall Pocket Farm, where I try and figure out how to live sustainably on 300 square metres in the city. I'm back from my holidays and we had an amazing time. We spent a few weeks in France and also some time in Germany for both the Western wedding and the Indian wedding, and both were amazing. My daughter looked so beautiful and the couple seemed really happy. So yes, it was both of them were very lovely days. We also stopped off with some friends in Melbourne in Australia on the way. So it was a sort of a global tour, really, catching up with friends and relatives and people that I hadn't seen for quite some time. So it was wonderful. But I'm back now and I still have the rest of my capsule wardrobe videos that I filmed before I went to pop up onto this channel. So that's what this is about. This one is the weekend that I attempted to make 5 tops in a weekend. Well, yes, that didn't go so well. I only managed 3 tops, but still I made 3 tops in a weekend. I actually named the tops after the inspiration photos for them. So the first one is Doris, after Doris Day. The second one is Elizabeth, after Elizabeth Taylor, and the third one is Joan, after Joan Crawford. And if you've been following me on Instagram over the time I've been away, you'll have seen that I have tried to post a sort of an outfit of the day every day, and obviously I have named all of the things that I'm wearing, so you will see that I've been wearing the Joan and the Elizabeth and the Doris and those types of things. So anyway, if you haven't seen that, check me out on Instagram, same name, Cornwall Pocket Farm over on Instagram. So without me waffling on too much more, let's get on with the video where I show you the making of these 3 tops. Now these 3 tops, of course, join the other 3 tops that I'd already made. I had already made a top that went with the Audrey suit. I'd made a top that went with the Carmen suit, and of course there was also that shirt that went with the Julie set that made the little dress. So in total I had 6 tops to go away with. Oh, well, that was nice. That was a friend very kindly dropping off some bunching onions for me to plant in my garden. So that's great. Anyway, let's get on with the video where I show you the 3 tops that I made. It's Friday evening. I thought what I'd do is, I've got a few hours and I thought I would just get all the patterns sorted for my tops. So it's all going to be variations on a theme, essentially, on the theme of the things I've already made. But yeah, I thought I'd get all the patterns sorted, figure out exactly what I'm going to do, and then hopefully tomorrow I'll be able to just crack into it Saturday. Now, we have actually got our house sitter coming tomorrow, so I need to show her all how everything works, because we've got a house sitter looking after the chickens and Maggie while we're away, which is fabulous. But I will have to spend a few hours showing her around. And then of course I've got Sunday and Monday, fingers crossed, all being well. So I need to get the paper out, I need to get the patterns out that I've made already, I need to form some plans. I'm going to try not to do any set-in sleeves because that always just takes that extra amount of time. But it really depends on how much fabric I've got and what I can fit. So I've got all the patterns of everything I've made in my new fancy binders, which is really useful, which means that I can easily flip to the right pattern and pull out all the pattern pieces. Makes a massive difference than having it all loose and in bits of paper and bits of string around it and all sorts of random stuff I had before. So this is really good. So hopefully I can easily find all the bits and pieces that I need for these patterns. Where is the grown on sleeve? I might need to, I think what I might need to do is figure out some sort of labelling system for this. At the moment I've just written it on some of the pattern pieces, but then if I take the pattern pieces out and put them back in again, I can't always see which is which. The pattern that I prepared last night, which is essentially just made with my new grown on sleeve block that I used for the Carmen wrap over top, but obviously I haven't done the wrap over piece. I've actually combined that with my standard block to get the base done. And then what I also did was, several years ago now, I made some shirts that I took travelling, and those shirts, actually, they were set in sleeves and it had a yoke and male collar and all sorts of things on it. So they took me, I think, about a weekend to make, which obviously I don't have the time for that this time because I'm trying to do as many tops in a weekend as I can. But I did know that those tops would go over my head and I can get them on and off without having buttons or anything like that. So I took that pattern that I already had in my pattern folder file thing. I took that to work out what the width should be of my patterns to make sure I can get them over my head. So technically these have the grown on sleeve and should be able to go on over my head, but still they still have darts in them. So what I will do is I've done the darts and I'll mark the darts, but then I'll make it as normal and then pinch the darts out once it's made just to see how much I can put in the darts and still get it on and off over my head easily. Now with the neckline, I've just done a very sort of basic sort of scoop neck on it, and I will see how much fabric I have once I lay this out on the fabric, because this is the remnant fabric. Can I find it? So this top, this pattern I'm making, I'm going to make out of this remnant fabric, and I think there's about 0.9 of a metre here, not a lot. So I'm going to see how much I have left once I've made this, once I've cut out these pattern pieces, if you like. So it's just two pattern pieces, a back and a front. If I've got some extras, then I will do facings or something along those lines. If not, then I will just do bias binding on the neck edge, and then I'll just do a little rolled hem on the sleeve and the bottom. So that's the plan for that. Now I did think about making some other patterns for the other tops last night, but then I thought actually that's probably not going to be the best idea, because whenever I make something I learn from it, and what is probably a better plan is to make this simple top like this, then learn from the pattern and any alterations I can make for the next one. And so by doing that, hopefully the top should get better and better. That's my plan anyway. I've got the fabric out and it's just a little bit narrow, but I'm hoping I can get, if I turn this piece upside down, I'm hoping I can get the two pieces out, maybe just by turning one up the other way. Have it all cut out, and I have got the darts all pinned in, all marked with tailor's tacks and pinned in, and I do have some bits left over. So quite some good chunks left over. So I think I might be doing some sort of neck thing or some sort of facing thing. I'm going to stitch all this now and then tack it at the side just to see if I can get it on and off. Because that's the critical thing really, isn't it? If I can't get it on or off, we need to reassess and maybe take out some of the darts. But I'm hoping that this should work. Okay, ow. I have just put this on. I didn't show you because it was a bit of a bun fight. It's all basically pinned, and I just had to wriggle into it full of pins, and then I can actually get it over my head. It's very snug, but I can do it. And then I had to get out of it again, all covered in pins. It was like wrestling with a hedgehog. And I hurt my side of my head, scratched my head, and I pricked my finger. But what we know is that this will go over my head without buttons and catches and zips and all of that sort of thing, which is good. What I have discovered in the pattern that I've made is that I didn't allow for the darts. So essentially the sides are short, they don't match up, as you can see. Hopefully you can see there, because I forgot to take into account the fabric that was going to be closed up for the dart. So that I can adjust in number 2 top. But this top I'm really quite pleased I have managed to do. I have a side boob dart, I have a front dart on here, and then on the back I have my usual 4 darts to bring it in from the sort of the big top into my waist and out again for my hips. So pleased with that. I have to breathe in a little bit, but I can get it on and off over my head. So I think what we'll do now is actually do the overlocking and stitch up the side seams and then figure out what to do on the neck. I'm quite pleased with the neck. It's quite a wide neck as well, which I wanted. I actually have a little bit more fabric to do something a little bit more fancy on the top. Not sure what that is yet. But what time is it? It is now 2:30 on Saturday. Now, bearing in mind that I spent the whole morning actually showing the house sit around and showing her how everything worked and all that sort of stuff. So I didn't actually get onto this until, well, we had some lunch and then it was just after lunch. So I probably didn't get onto this until maybe 1 o'clock, should we say? Probably about 1 o'clock. So far I've been working on this for an hour and a half. So hopefully once I get a little bit more speedy, these will go together a bit more quickly. Although saying that, the others are actually different designs, so we will see. But yeah, on track with this and we'll see how we go. Okay, we have a top. It's quite fitted at the back. It's looking okay. We don't, the neckline I haven't figured out yet, but yeah, it's a top. So sleeves, hem and a neckline I don't have together yet, but it's a little top and I think it will go quite nicely with what I've made. So the next thing to do is figure out the neckline, what I can do with my leftover scraps. But yeah, simple top number 1 down, I think. Okay, I had a slight change of plan there. I actually had 4 darts in the back and it was a bit too much, I think. It was a bit too snug. So I've taken the outside sets of darts out and that's much better. So now I've just got 2 darts on the, well, I've got two darts coming up and then 2 darts like this on the front, and on the back I've just got 2 darts. So that works much better, I think. Happy with that now. So I just need to figure out this neck and then it'll be on to hand sewing, which I'm going to do in the evenings. So yeah, the sleeves and the bottoms won't be finished. I'm just going to do those over the evenings as and when. Right, neck. Okay, so it's Sunday morning now. I'm not on track, no. So 1 day out of my 3 days has been finished. I didn't actually get to sewing until probably about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Made great progress, as you have seen by now. Whipped out the top in about an hour and a half, really pleased. Then went on to the neck and thought, oh, I do something interesting like that, because I had a bit of extra fabric. Then the collar wasn't working, and anyway, I finished last night having not finished this top at all. So I'm sort of part way through a bit of a collar type neck thing that wasn't playing nicely. I'm going to have a look this morning, try it on and see if I can rescue it. But what I think I might do this morning, is just move straight on and start another top. Because this can sit in the naughty corner, and if I can figure out how to fix it, then I'll do it another time. But yeah, I think I might just get on with another top. I'll try this on and see how far away it is, because last night it seemed just way too hard, so I stopped. Anyway, today's another day, but I think our target of 5 tops is maybe a little optimistic, should we say? Yeah, I think so. Okay, we have a top. I actually struggled on with this top a little bit because this neckline was driving me nuts. It was problematic. Anyway, I've got it on. I'm quite pleased with the neckline. I can get it on and over my head. It's not finished. I haven't hemmed the sleeves and I haven't hemmed the bottom. And I'm also thinking that I might do what I did with the blue top, the Audrey top, and maybe put some little buttons down the front. Anyway, for now, I'm calling this done. It's hand stitching and sort of finishing. So I'm calling this done and I'm moving on to the next one. I didn't actually want to leave it as I had it, because it was one of the, you know when you get to that point where it's being naughty and you don't even want to look at it, and then it's like very hard to pick up again. Whereas now I know the finishing I've got to do, so I can finish that quite easily. It's a no-brainer. So I'm glad I've got this one to this stage. But for a simple top, I think it's because I can't just, I find just a really boring simple top, well, boring. And that's the problem with a lot of the things in the shops, is they are constructed really simply to be as cheap as possible, and so they're just literally a round neck and sleeves, and there's nothing to them, and I find that just a bit dull. And especially if I make something myself, I sort of want it to have a bit of interest somewhere. So anyway, we have a bit of interest. It did take a few hours, but anyway, we've got there. On to the next top, I think. Okay, so the next one I want to tackle is this beautiful Liberty Tana lawn. It's a really beautiful fabric. I bought it the other day and couldn't resist. What I've got in mind for this, in my head, as soon as I saw it, I thought, oh yes, is the grown-on sleeve shirt, but using a shawl collar down to here. So basically a centre seam, put a centre seam up the front and then put a little bit of a shawl collar on the top. Now I'm hoping I've got enough fabric because I've only got 0.7 of a metre. I've just roughly put it on, and I think, fingers crossed, I might have enough. I might have to make it a little bit shorter, but that should be fine. With some judicet, I'm just going to use, perhaps use some bias binding on the bottom, or try and make it, yeah, try and make the most of the fabric that I have, basically. So the shawl collar, I thought I'd use the shawl collar out of here that I used for the Carmen jacket. That shawl collar, I can use that general shape, I think, hopefully. My plan is to just use this exact same pattern piece that I've already created for the all-in-one, but basically just make some slight amendments. I will need to add seam allowance on the front pieces so that I can join them together, and I will need to change the collar on it. But apart from that, it's good to go. I've got a bit of a Frankenstein pattern going on, so I've added a bit to the back of this pattern to make the neck higher. This is the original piece, which I've just sort of shortened by pinning it up, and then I have added on that neck piece onto the pattern I had, and then I've added seam allowance all the way along the front. So hopefully that will now fit on the fabric. Fingers crossed. Okay, so we're making progress. I did manage to get all of the pieces out. It was, oh my lord, it was like fabric and pattern Tetris trying to get it all on. But in the end, I have managed just about to get the 4 pieces I needed in the fabric with skinnying down all the seam allowances and everything. So now I'm trying to follow the instructions for how I did it before on the Carmen jacket. So I'm just putting the neck together. I've done the darts and all of those sorts of things. I'm not sure at this moment whether I'm going. I don't think I'm going to interface the collar, because I want the collar to be sort of like a soft shirt collar. When I did it for the Julie shirt, I used my lightest interface, and it's okay, but it's got a sort of quite a stiff, well, a bit of a stiffness to it, shall we say. And this one, I want it to be really quite a soft shirt. So I never know with interfacing. Do you have to put it in? Do you not? This is quite a fine cotton, probably as fine as the Julie cotton was, same sort of weight, I would say. Not sure at the moment. I'll have to make a decision on that. Anyway, clearly, seeing as this is, what is it now? Nearly 4 o'clock on day 2, and this is my second top. I won't be making 5 tops in this weekend, but who knows? Tomorrow could be whiz, and I could get through 3, but I doubt it. So yeah, keep going, and hopefully I will get these other bits to join to those bits, and I might do French seams. On this cotton, because it's quite, no I won't, no, because it's a grown-on sleeve, and that always causes problems when you're doing a French seam, because that sort of seam underneath there, it's just a bit too tight for a French seam to work very well. So I'll probably be doing a bit of overlocking, but it is quite fine, this fabric, and I don't want my overlocker to eat it. So I'll do some testing before I try that, I think. Sorted now. So I think that's where... yeah, sleeve, and we should be... This fabric is viscose and it's quite drapey. I don't usually buy viscose, I must admit. I haven't bought viscose for years and years because it does tend to look a little bit sort of crushed and sad after a little while of wearing it. It can look a bit like a limp dishcloth, can't it? But this fabric was so beautiful, and it matches the outfit so well. I thought, well, I'm going to use it in my capsule. And, you know, I've got it, so I might as well use it. And it's a really nice piece of fabric. So this fabric and the white, I'm going to do something quite simple and a little bit less fitted. So my idea for both of those is to do a sort of simple V-neck with maybe a little sort of male collar type thing, a soft male collar, a little bit like I did in the Carmen crossover top. I want to make the sleeves a little bit somewhere in between the pattern that I'm using for these types of tops with the grown on sleeve, and a little bit more towards the sort of more swoopy sleeves that I've used on the jackets, the Audrey jacket and the Carmen jacket. I'm going to do something in between so that the curve is a little bit more pronounced than the tops I have been making. That's going to be in this fabric and this fabric. So V-neck and with a sort of slight male collar. Now this top, I don't have that much of it, and I have to be careful with the pattern, getting the pattern down the centre, if you like. So I think the sleeves will only be maybe to about here on this top. Okay, so I'm mixing the pull over tops that I've just made with the Carmen jacket pattern to try and to get the sleeve angle right. And then I also have a pattern, so that also has a sort of a dolman type sleeve on it, but that's a bit more than I want. So I'm going to take advice from this pattern and then basically join the Carmen jacket pattern and also the grown on sleeve little pull on tops that I've just been making. So I made the pattern, I've placed it on this fabric, which is beautiful fabric. It's just such a shame that it's in viscose, I think, because viscose doesn't stand up to wear that well, I don't think. Anyway, beautiful print. As you can see, it's only that wide, so I've only been able to put shortish sleeves on it, but that's, you know, that'll do. That's what I have. So anyway, this is just a very simple pattern at the moment. It's just a back and a front. I do want to do this sort of some sort of collar piece out, and I do have leftover fabric. So I'm going to check it just to see if I can get that piece out. I haven't actually drawn up that pattern piece yet, so I'm in two minds. Do I finish drawing up the pattern pieces, or do I just sew up this bit because I've cut it out already just to see what it looks like? Very tempted just to sew this up, but should I do the pattern piece? It's about 4 o'clock now, so I think what I might do is actually just sew the front and the back together, so at least I've got some sort of top formed. And it really is not going to affect the neck piece. I can work that out and get that on once the back and front are together. So I think I might do that. It's a bit sunny in here, but it is the next morning now. This is actually the day after the bank holiday, but I've decided to do a little bit more sewing if I can. Last night I managed to get the collar piece, and the sun is not playing ball in here because it's early morning and I always have sun problems in the early morning, but I got the collar on the top, and what I'm doing is fitting some bias binding on now. Hopefully you can see if I hold it close up. Yeah, so I put this little male collar type thing, this stand collar on it, and then, well, it's not really a stand collar because it's only going to come around sort of part way to the front and then carry on as a V. So I put some bias binding on, and rather than doing a facing, I'm just going to do a bias binding and try and turn that in. I think that should work. and then I shall do some stitching just to hold that down. So I think that'll work. The sleeves are, that's as long as I could get the sleeves to be, so they're sort of just shorter than elbow length. I'm not sure, I've got a little bit more fabric left, some bits and pieces, so whether I can get any sort of band on there, whether I want a band or whether I'm just gonna sort of finish it simply. I'll do the neck first and then pop it on and see what I think of the style, and see if I might do a little bit of gathering and then a sort of a cuff band or something like that. I'll have to see how it looks when I get the neck on, because that's the key thing. The other thing I've decided is, because the shaping of this is taken, the body part of this is taken straight off the more fitted tops that I have done before. Those are the two tops, the red top and then the white Liberty top. I've taken the same body off that, so it still has this sort of like what would normally be darts, so it still has that sort of body shaping on the side, even though it's much wider because I haven't put the darts in. And I think what I might do is actually just fold over the little bits and put a short piece of stitching in here, just to almost create a sort of little pleating. So it's still really loose and baggy, it's not fitted, but just sort of to bring it in around the waist a little bit so it'll sit nicely into the skirts and trousers. Anyway, I'm going to carry on and do this bias binding piece and then see how it looks after that. I've got a lot of hand sewing to do and finishing, which I'm trying to do in the evenings, but we're almost there. I've finished one of the tops, the one, you know, the crazy coloured one. I finished that one last night, and now I'm doing the hand stitching on this little white blouse. This one I haven't looked at yet, but it's just, what do I need to do on this? Let me think. Oh yes, on here I need to do hem on the bottom, sleeves, and hand sewing around the neck, and then that one will be finished. So that's sort of been the general evening jobs, is basically doing the hem, doing the sleeves, and hand stitching around the neck for all of these really. The other thing that I'm getting quite concerned about is the temperature, because looking at the temperature in Europe at the moment, it's really only the same temperature as we have in New Zealand. I mean, we're in winter and they're in summer, but their nighttime temperatures are actually lower than our nighttime temperatures, and their daytime temperatures are probably about the same. So given that I'm sat here in a cardigan, a woolly singlet, a shirt, and some corduroy trousers, socks and shoes, I'm a bit concerned that I might be a bit chilly in these really lightweight summer things that I have designed for this fabulous European summer holiday. I'm actually getting a bit concerned I might be cold. So I'm toying with the idea of making a coat. That sounds a lot, doesn't it? I have in my stash some nylon raincoat material and lining fabric, which I bought years and years ago with the idea of making a raincoat, which I never got around to. So I'm toying with, can I, in the last week, knock out a rain jacket, because on top of the temperatures not being that warm, it's actually been quite wet over there. So yeah, I'm going to look a bit like a cold drowned rat in the things that I've got at the moment, unless in the next 2-3 weeks it transitions to a lovely hot summer. It may do, it's Europe, that might happen, but yeah, at the moment I'm a bit concerned. This top is finished. I put some little cuffs on the end and bias bound the neck and just put a little hem on the bottom. I also decided to just put these little pleats in here. So because the pattern sort of looked like it needed to be joined up there and it needed a little bit of shaping, so I've done that back and front, which is rather nice when it's on. I'm really pleased with that. This top, again, I put little cuffs on. I found that this was the easiest way to finish these off, actually, was rather than trying to turn it under, because of course you've got this angle here, which means that when you fold it under, the bit you're folding is smaller than the bit you're trying to attach it to. which causes problems and puckering. So I found that actually just making a band and then turning it in and then sort of, basically I just stitched in the ditch here just to sort of attach that back on itself, so it's nice and firm. So that has got the darts sewn in and the little neck, which took me a bit of effort, to be honest. I'm still not quite sure whether to put some little buttons down the front. It's not my best work here. I mean, you'd literally have to go close up and stare here, which I don't think people are going to do. But that's why I was thinking, do I put a button there? That might look nice. If I look at my stash and see if I can find something, I might just put a button there. This would be a great top for brooches and things, because there's plenty of sort of nothing else going on, you know. It's a sort of fairly bland pattern. But yeah, pleased with that one. Nice cotton, feels nice on. And then the Liberty print, yeah, really pleased with this one too. Again, I did the little cuffs. I made these cuffs very small on this one because I was running out of fabric on this, but I managed to squeeze it out. So really pleased with the shawl collar. This is just the shawl collar that I took straight off the pattern that I used for the Julie shirt. And obviously I just used that collar shape, but then I finished it here and I've got a centre seam down, so I didn't do any sort of buttons or anything down the front. So yeah, pleased with that one. So in the week, it was actually a really good feeling because at the beginning of the week I had all these projects on the go and I felt a little overwhelmed. But then during the week I have managed to finish off the 3 shirts and hem the trousers.